He was quite young.
I was 25 when I took on as chairman.
took
So
on the first
majority of members were older than me.
Was it daunting? Did you sort of think, what have I done?
I went to the meeting, went to the AGM, and I wasn't going to stand as chairman. That wasn't the role I was going for. You know, you see people from other societies, and if you bump into someone, not at a bonfire, but just on a Wednesday afternoon in town, if they go, hey, you guys all ready? You know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking bonfire.
Yeah.
Our first guest.
Yeah, welcome to Guy Talks. It's the Guy Talks podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have our chairman, Matt Southam, everybody.
2 times chairman.
2 times chairman, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think many people know that?
I don't know. No, I think, enough people have been around long enough.
Yeah.
And obviously there was that in-between bit between the 2 chairmanships where actually I did do health and safety officer for a few years, which was quite a prominent role.
I was going to ask you that, actually. I was going to ask you how many of them prominent roles you've done in Bonfire.
Oh, no, it's only... Yeah,
just the chairman.
Chairman, health and safety. I did press and publicity.
Yeah. Prominent role, Ed?
That's not really a role.
But top table roles, no, chairman
like
and
logistics.
health and safety.
With health and safety, yeah. How was that? Is that as hard as it is now when you did it, or is it? Would you say it's a lot harder now? Or?
No, I don't think it's a lot harder.
No.
I think we're in a good period for health and safety as general. I think there was a lot of pressure 15 years ago, maybe a little bit past that 20 odd years where it was tough. You know, in fact, you go back to mid 90s, you know, there was a lot of pressure from the authorities, and that's when things like risk assessments and that started coming in.
Right, okay.
And also the relationship between the Bonfire Society and the authorities was quite strained. Whereas I certainly think in the last sort of 10 years, there's been quite a good working relationship. We've built up, you know, we have got a good safety record. I think that's what.
Yeah.
I always look at Bonfire. If you looked at it from an outsider's perspective, you'd be like, it needs to be banned.
Yeah, fraught with danger.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
But
it
in
looks
fact,
terrifying.
Yeah, it does.
To
It
the
does.
But in
layman.
fact, the safety record is fantastic. And that's because it's that controlled anarchy. Because the event, it's meant to appear a little bit like that. But in fact, there are lots of controls in place. And
Like
I
you
see
say,
Bonfire and Fire almost like, you know, being a lion tamer.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you can be with your lion and you know you're okay, but equally that lion could rip your head off.
Yeah, you still got to respect the line.
And you've got to respect it.
Yeah, I've never ever felt unsafe at a bonfire.
No, I don't think I have.
And I couldn't put a number on how many I've been to, but I've never felt unsafe. I've never sat there and thought, this isn't great. I've always felt everything's under control, even at battle when the fire initially gets going. You get the initial sort of sparks and things, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking within 10 minutes, 15 minutes at most,
move out of the way.
The main part of the fire is sort of coming back down again. And always for me, but because I do wear the earpiece, there's constant, always impresses me how much communication is going through the radio in terms of what the fire's doing. And I always think to myself, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, you're standing in it and you're thinking, this is biblical. This is like, what on earth is going on? But at the same time, you're thinking, there's no danger here.
No, I think there's 2 different parts to it, actually, because you're right. I always feel safest when I'm within the Bonfire Society.
Yeah.
I know you guys have spoken about, you know, watching it, and actually one, I think, maybe not battle, but some of the events, as you're a spectator, it's a bit boring. It walks past and then walks back. But equally, when you're in a big crowd, like the public are, it's trickier to move about. Whereas when we're involved, actually we've got the whole road.
So much freedom.
So much freedom, and the same on the green, and all that chatter that you hear through the earpiece and things like that. And a lot of people won't be realising, but when that bonfire's burning and everything's going, we've got people on the roof of the Abbey looking down, giving us that perspective. I'm often down on the ground, seeing what the fire's doing, but also walking over to that crowd line. Saying, is everyone all right? And you start to get that indication, because it's very much when you're down on the ground and you see that crowd, everyone looks very bumped up. But when you look at it from above, you start to realise, actually, there's plenty of room, and people can move if they need.
I remember probably a couple of years ago, my brother Luke went to stand. I don't think he stood in the crowd. He didn't go the other side of the barrier, but he certainly went against the barrier with the crowd for the purpose of, let's see what it's like from the crowd's perspective. You know, he got as close as he possibly could, which is a metal barrier between them. And I remember him saying, it was uncomfortable in terms of it's a fire. You've got smoke, but at the same time, you would only stand there for that reason, that you wanted that. It sounds ridiculous,
but you want to be amongst. You want to be
in that intense.
Why else do you stand at the front of a concert? You want to be as close to the action as you possibly can. That's why you're there.
If you're just there to just hear a bit of music, you'd stand at the back.
I want to dance. I need room. I'm not going to stand at the front, am I?
No, but some people cram to the front. They want to be bumped about, and it's the same at a bonfire. You want to feel that.
I want to see the fireworks. I want to see the fire. I want to see the energy.
But you want to be engrossed in it.
All that madness. There's all this communication going on with people talking, the authorities and us and everybody, that obviously the public perhaps are not aware, but it's all going on and you're thinking, this is all actually safe. It looks totally unsafe, but it is so under control that you almost couldn't believe how that situation could be that under control.
But it has to be under control, because like you said, it's an event. And it is a spectacle. You can't do it. It's like a circus. You couldn't really have those things without trained professionals doing it, And that's the
And I think that's the adaptation
nature
of bonfire. Obviously, it started just a public celebration. It was a public holiday. The bonfire was just people brought some wood out, and there was a group who sort of made some fireworks and put it all together. But of course, over the years, that the health and safety, and maybe even the last 50 years, you look back to the 70s, there was a single bit of rope round just to sort of keep people back, and now it's proper barriers. That's expanded, but it's still trying to keep the essence of what it originally was, while allowing it to pass off as safely as possible.
You touched on it before about you running twice as chairman. What drove you to stand again?
I think it was just
coming off the back of COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, we'd come off the back of COVID. Dave had done really well getting us through that period, because that was a really tough period. To be chairman of a society where you're not even running an event.
It felt like it was near the end.
You don't,
it did, didn't it?
You don't know, So, and he had made it clear that he needed to step back. And while I wasn't necessarily like, I want to get back in, I was like, actually, I have done this before, so I've got a bit of experience. I'm probably, my kids are a little bit older. I mean, they're only 11 and 8, but, I'm not dealing with a 1-year-old. And I just thought, you know what? If unless anyone else wants to give it a go. And at that point, there was no one else really particularly interested.
I can't think of anybody else who could have stepped into that role at that time. I'm sure there are. But
someone would have done it.
Yeah.
Someone would have done it, but it just lined up that actually I was quite happy to step into a role.
Which is the key.
I wasn't doing health and safety. I did press and publicity, but your joke's not a proper role, So
you can do it as a side job.
I didn't have any real commitment within bonfire, yet was still actively involved. And I knew the role from
previous.
Yeah. And as someone jokes, it's the Matt Southam show. And I thought, we'll have that back.
But if you know how to run that show,
no one's better to run the Matt Southam show than Matt Southam.
Yeah. And also you are someone that loves bonfire, lives for bonfire, and obviously you live for other things as well. But you do have that as part of your personality, I would say, is that you are dedicated to
You've got to be
bonfire
passionate about actually keeping the event going.
Yeah.
And I guess it's always that balance between you've got to protect what it is, but equally understand that the world changes. And therefore, you've sometimes got to change things or find new ways, but while protecting the essence of what the event is. And I think Battle have done that really well. You know, other societies have had to drop certain things and brought it down. They're a bit tamer, or they don't have this anymore. I think, if anything, Battle's gone the other way. That we're like, what can we add back in?
Exactly.
I agree.
And I think part of that is not being scared to go, you know what, we're going to add that back in.
We can do it safely.
We can do it and have a look at it. Whereas a lot of people seem to default, oh, no, I don't think we'll be allowed to do that. What do you mean you won't be allowed to do it? Like, work it out. Work out a way that you can do it.
Yeah.
Put the paperwork together. Submit your plans. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. They can either say yes or no.
Yeah. And even then, you know, the safety advisory group, you know, and I've got a lot of respect for everyone. So the safety advisory group is basically made up of all the authorities, you know, from police, ambulance, fire, environmental health, and all the other partners that are involved. They're in safety advisory group. Yeah. It's our event, and they can give some advice, and they will then say what they can and can't do. And generally, we just have a good conversation. And that's where it's changed from 20, 30 years ago, where it was very much at loggerheads. This is like...
where we're their enemy.
Yeah.
And they're our enemy.
Yeah. I think everyone's accepted that bonfire's happening. You know, it's going ahead.
Yeah.
Let's work together to make sure that actually it passes off safely. Because I'm under no illusion, you know, that bonfire is right pain for... you know, all the emergency services and the local authorities and things like that. And what I mean by that is that, you know, they have to bring in extra resources and things like that. And no one wants to work a Saturday night outside in November. Yeah. Like, you're just not going to want to, are you? So, you know, and dealing with large gatherings and members of the public have all been drinking. You know, that's a bit of a thing. So
it's not one night.
And it's not one, it's like every Saturday.
You know.
You know, so I do get it. But equally, I think that's why it's important to keep it going.
Yeah.
Because if you lose it, it's much harder to bring it back.
As well as that, it is Battle's biggest night.
Yeah.
You know,
in
not
terms
just
of
Battle's,
revenue for the...
I would imagine maybe Hastings' biggest night, is it? I mean, I know Hastings have lots of events going on, but...
I'd say no, but it must be. If you look at, you know, events where the road completely closes and it's just full up with people... You know,
but
Hastings
it doesn't just...
event.
I'm saying the nighttime. It's not just the nighttime, is it? I mean, at Battle during the day, it's just...
There's a buzz.
Feel like it's bonfire day.
Definitely it's electric.
Like you'll go into a cafe to get a coffee and you're sort of thinking, this feels like it's Battle bonfire. You go in there and you think there's more people in the town. It just feels, other than the rainy bonfires, which there seems to be more than enough of. But... I often sort of think to myself, that goes under the radar a lot, that how much money the bonfire brings into businesses in the town.
It's like the Taylor Swift
and not
effect,
just on bonfire night. You know, you think of all the events throughout the year that are ran by, you know, the 10K.
Well,
you know,
the fundraisers,
the big weekend, or, you know, the fete. You know, it's the big fete and carnival that goes on about, organised by us. The big 10K race. The only 10K race in town, organised by the Bonfire Society. If you look at it separate from actually bonfire night, while that is our big event, in fact, we're event organisers. You know, we organise some of the biggest events in town. And then the other big events we get involved in.
Yeah.
You know, the other big events, whether it's the medieval fair or the marbles or Christmas, you know, out there marshalling, Remembrance, we're out there marshalling, we're doing the 2-minute maroon. You know, we get involved in
lighting the beacon, all that sort of stuff.
All of that.
Would you say that Battle Bonfire Society is the most loved organisation in the town? You know, in terms of the community as a whole, because sometimes if you see it on social media, if bonfire is slightly attacked for a firework or a this and that, it feels to me almost as if people they jump on the person that's had that slight moan, you know, whether it's vindicated or what, but there's always seems to be a defence of Battle Bonfire. I always sort of feel like Battle Bonfire Society is supported by the community in terms of not so much, perhaps not money wise, but in terms of their love for it, their
Support.
Yeah, there's support for it to happen every year.
I think there's a couple of parts. First of all, the Bonfire Society is probably the biggest membership organisation in town. You know, there's not many other groups that have got 250 odd members.
The Yarn Bombers.
What's that?
The Yarn Bombers.
Maybe.
They're quite strong.
248, I think.
Yeah, in order to do what they do, it is.
But, you know, with the largest membership group, but equally the event, you know, Battle Bonfire is organised by Battle Bonfire Boys, and it is our event, but equally it's the Bonfire Night in Battle. It's Battle's Bonfire organised by the Bonfire Boys. So I think whether you're a member or whether you just grew up in the town, you feel like this is my event. This is Battle's event. And I think the community are very proud of the event. Even if they're not a member, they don't come along and do that. They know that it's a key event. And if you've grown up in the town, it's really hard to explain it to people who don't know. You explain about Bonfire, and it's that it was Robert Emelaus who said it's that one time a year apart from Christmas when families get together.
They do, yeah.
And you do. Families have bonfire traditions. People come back from uni, move back from wherever they're living, and the family get together and they all have jacket potatoes and beans and then go up for bonfire. And it's bonfire weekend. So whether you're involved as a member like we are, you know, I don't expect everyone to have the same passion and enjoyment and dedication as me. But if you're into that bit, and then therefore, like you say, you're going to stick up for us when something doesn't go to plan, or
somebody just isn't happy with
just someone isn't happy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the classic is the 6 a.m. Maroon. You know, I'm well aware. You try and explain to some people, oh, it's 6 a.m. on a Saturday. You know, a few big bangs, and I'm talking decent sized bangs, go off to tell everyone it's bonfire. It's like, people not got a calendar then, you know? Like, what do you mean you need to wake you up?
I think
get an alarm clock.
But
it's the tradition.
It's tradition.
I would have said that's my favourite, other than the carrying of the bees, is my favourite part of the year.
Oh, there's some key parts to the event. And I think those early morning, there's a couple of lead-up parts to it. I really enjoy like the pre-event. I enjoy going to the other bonfires. I like going to Staple Cross, and this year's going to be a bit funny because there's another one in between. But you normally, after Staple Cross, you're like,
this is bonfire week.
You know, obviously there's one in between this year. There's that, but it's equally the Sunday before, when you suddenly see those signs going up saying road closed this Saturday, you're like, nice. You know,
I know why.
You know, and then the Friday, the build up, and then you hear those bangs Saturday morning, and you're like, it's here.
Yeah.
It's arrived.
Yeah.
Something that you've worked all year for. And it's funny because actually, you think of the amount of time that goes into bonfire. Actually, the event is actually quite a small amount.
Is,
But it's about for me, I enjoy as much of it throughout the year and the build up.
Yeah, I enjoy the build up. I think the moment, I say it all the time, Louise hates me for it, but and not making it to many meetings this year, but I always say, even my brother said at the September meeting, he went, the next meeting, he went, I know. I said, even though it's a monthly one, but I look at it as, no, that's a weekly one.
Yeah,
I know it's the monthly October one, but I sit there and I think, but next Thursday we're here.
Every week.
Yeah.
Next Thursday we're here.
And the agenda changes. There's that checklist of bonfire night.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you just sort of think, now we're getting into it. Every sort of thing. I remember in that video, the 2 and 6 video, when you interviewed Dad, and he went, you get to that time of year and it's just bonfire.
Yeah.
Bonfire. And he's absolutely right.
That is when it kicks off.
It is. Yeah. As soon as it, and Nolan said it gets a little bit colder.
It does,
and the mornings are fresh. You're like, this is bonfire. And you can almost smell autumn,
it in the air,
and all of that happens. And then, you see people from other societies. And if you bump into someone, not at a bonfire, but just on a Wednesday afternoon in town, if they go, hey, you guys all ready? You know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking bonfire.
Yeah. We've spoken about things you like about Battle Bonfire. What would you want to see change within the society?
I think it's always really hard because I think the event as a whole is really, really strong. And I think as a membership, we are really strong. I think one thing that's always a problem with any membership group is that, you mentioned little cliques. And I think there's two things to look at. Yes, there is, because people become friends or people join who have grown up with other. It's just normal. But equally, getting other people to understand we're not cliquey. As in, if you join, actually, you can be in that clique.
Yeah, we are cliquey, but you're welcome.
But you're welcome in it. Because, you know, we do have in-jokes. We do share. We do talk about, this bonfire we went to 15... You know, I mean, I'm a bit older than you guys, so I talk about stuff, you know, sort of in the late 90s and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, and sound like a right old
Well,
guy.
but it's nice to hear those stories, because as a like I said, fringe member and not being from the town, I don't know anything. I don't know who you're talking about, when you're talking about, but I still like to be involved and hear about it, you know. And that's how you
come in and get involved.
How you know.
And you know, I was talking to Tucker about this at the weekend, that when someone joins, we never go, you've only been a member a year or two.
No.
So you can't get involved. You can't do this. No, of course you can.
Yeah.
Join and get involved straight away.
Yeah.
We don't hold you back.
Yeah,
I love to see it. I love to see people like Ben and Rachel get straight involved into the firework crew, just ingratiate themselves
just their
in.
enthusiasm.
Yeah, love it.
They're exactly the kind of people
you want
need.
people to get in and get
as
involved.
Well, when I've said before, when I dressed as a Saxon, and I notoriously stand against it, I've said, me and Luke both swore we'd never do it again, but because of how many people were walking in Saxon, I was like, who are these? They just turn up on the night and they walk in amongst them and they don't do nothing, blah blah. But as the years have gone on, we tend to sort of step out and do a bit of marshalling for the procession. I actually love it now. I love the fact that people, it sounds ridiculous, and I'm not intending to get to sway people to do it, but I actually like the fact that people do come out, and they just come out on that night. We're going to walk in Battle Bonfire tonight. We're members. We're going to put on a display. And I sit there and I think, you do it.
I'm glad they do.
I went from someone thinking, no, why should they? They've not been here all year. Why should they get to walk at the front of the procession?
Because that's what your membership entitles you to
someone now who thinks, I'm so thankful that they do.
Yeah.
Because it helps put on the spectacle.
Because otherwise, so many of the working members end up doing all these other jobs that actually would have no one in the procession. So it is. I mean, I get it. You know, it's frustrating when you sort of feel like people are claiming all the glory yet haven't actually done anything towards the event. But equally, most people go in sort of ebbs and flows of like how much you can commit to the society and how much you can do. So there's always that.
Well, declaiming the glory of the night, the glory of the night is all the work that's been done throughout the year.
Yeah.
The day after Bonfire last year, really.
And I think actually
straight away, doesn't it?
For me, it's not even about claiming any glory, because I said last year in the programme that, you know, I actually just do Bonfire for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I enjoy it. I'm doing it. I couldn't do it without everyone else.
Yeah.
But equally, I'm only doing it for myself.
Yeah, if you didn't want to do it.
Yeah, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
No, I'm not doing it I'm not putting this on so that even any of my friends can watch it.
It's not.
No,
it's not
I'm
what
doing
it's
it
for,
because
is
I want to do it. So if you want to just turn up and walk in the procession, fine.
You've paid your membership.
I'm not doing
You're
this
entitled to do it.
for you or to get any glory or to be seen to be doing it. I'm doing it because actually I enjoy the night. And that's the
and the night wouldn't be as enjoyable without those people that turn up and look good in their costumes. And you may say, well, I haven't seen you all year at XYZ fundraising, but does that really matter?
No, equally, it's quite nice to see some people that you haven't seen all year.
Yeah, and the biggest fundraiser is membership, isn't it? Like,
yeah. I can't wait until I'm at an age where I will literally just turn up Bonfire afternoon, see loads of people and give us sort of, well done, guys, you know, good for you doing some work, you know, and then turn up in the evening, have a half pint in the club and walk in the procession. Yeah. Thinking I've done my time.
You've done your time. And that's, you do respect that from people.
I respect it a lot more now than, as I say, I used to be one of them that used to think, no, that is really annoying. But now I sort of savour those people. I almost feel like thanking them for coming just for the night.
Yeah, well, now's your opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. But you said there, Matt, that you couldn't do it without the help of everybody else.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you was, from your first time as chairman to your second time, has there been a massive change in how much help is available to you in terms of, if, you know, because I always find in battle that jobs seem to come to you for you to then disperse out to the society, whether that's right or wrong. But I almost sort of feel when we're in the meeting, someone will raise a problem and it's almost down to you to then say, well, you know, you then got to sort that problem by dispersing it to
Who do I know
whereas
that could
really,
fix that?
I know someone said this before, you're the chairman, you're chairing the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, you're just there to help us members.
I'm just there to facilitate the formalities of who's doing what.
You're not Chairman Mao.
Do you feel that you've got more help available to you now? I can't remember.
Possibly, but it might have just come with age or maturity. Maturity maybe not, but age.
Because you was quite young.
I was 25 when I took on as chairman. So the majority of members were older than me.
Right.
Yeah.
So that must have been a challenge.
And there was very much a point there that we haven't got any young people involved.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was predominantly older people or people who had very young kids. Mm-hmm. So there weren't many 19, 20, 21-year-olds actually getting involved. So I was probably being a bit younger and you know, I had time. I threw myself into getting involved in lots of the jobs. And probably there was I wouldn't say arrogance, but a slight level of naivety around the importance of that role, of just making sure everyone was working together.
Yeah.
Whereas I certainly took it on a bit more. I'll do that. But actually this time round, I think, you know, I'm 45 now, and actually I think that's a great age because I'm old enough to be able to talk to the older members, but young enough to talk to some of the younger members.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the membership is quite young, as in active members.
Think so, yeah.
You know, I'm at the sort of higher end of that active sort of membership. So I think it's almost easier this time round because we have got such a wide variety of people involved. I think the membership's grown, and I think there's many more active members. But that might just be a perception because of the way I've seen it. Whereas before, there were already groups doing their thing, so I sort of didn't get involved.
Yeah. So at 25, can you remember becoming chairman at 25? You remember what it, you know, was there sort of
it's a bit of a funny story, actually, because I went to the meeting, went to the AGM, and I wasn't going to stand as chairman. That wasn't the role I was going for.
Right.
There was actually an assistant health and safety role available. So I said, yeah, I'll do assistant health and safety. And another guy was also like, he'd put himself forward for assistant health and safety. And I remembered our current health and safety officer at the time said to us both, well, look, there's two of you, there's only one role, but there is the chairman role. And the other guy went, well, I don't want to be chairman. He was like, well, if you want to be chairman, put yourself forward for that. No one else has. And I went, yeah, all right. So I went to the meeting thinking I might go for some assistant health and safety and walked out as chairman.
Was it daunting? Did you sort of think, what have I done? Or did you think?
No, I was sort of quite up for it.
Yeah.
I'm like a little Jack Terrier. We were at a period then, it was sort of 2005, so we'd been off the green for about 10 years then. And at that point, the green was actually completely fenced off and we were allowed 8 people onto the green to light a fire. That was all that was allowed. The procession didn't go round the green. The procession walked straight past it, didn't it? 8 people could go on to light a token bonfire, a Nimfield-style bonfire. Yeah. And in my head, I couldn't understand why no one had fought for that. Yeah. And I remember saying to our health and safety guy, like, I want to get the procession to go round. And he was like, no, you'll never be allowed. And that to me was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you sometimes need to, I was like, No, I will. So at the next SAG meeting, I turned up with this folder and health and safety guy was like, what's in this? Because I knew he'd said, no, you won't be allowed. Don't bring it up. But I thought, no, I'm just going to. So I went along and I had aerial photographs and I had some shots from the top of the Abbey showing the crowds. And I was like, look, we bring this procession down and you can see all the crowd here and we try and push through them, yet this area is empty around the green. And that's where everyone wants to say, if we brought the procession round, it would give the public way more space.
Yeah.
And everyone in this SAG meeting went, well, yeah, that makes sense. And that
Let's
was
go for it.
and then
And that's
so
how we come.
yeah,
round
and
the
then
Abbey
we
Green.
came back round and we were walking around the green again.
When did it come back to the green? As it is now?
2012.
Right.
Yeah, I
was,
remember
was
the
that in
meeting.
your time?
No, Hannah
No.
was.
Oh, that was
Hannah was
under Hannah.
chairman.
Yeah.
I remember it very well. I remember sitting in the meeting, and I believe, if I'm correct, Matt, that the reenactment on the battlefield had happened, and it was a particularly wet year.
Yeah.
And it had absolutely annihilated the ground to the point that English Heritage or Battle Abbey had been saying, you just cannot have the fire
Yeah.
on the battlefield. And I remember I was so down and disappointed that year that there was not going to be a fire in the battlefield, because the year before was my first year. So I only had 1 year in the firework crew on the battlefield.
Okay.
And it's such a massive memory to me, because we'd sat in the Thursday meeting before the bonfire, and Brian Buss, who was vice chairman at the time, had said to Ronnie, who was in charge of the fireworks, or I'm pretty sure he was in charge.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Had said to Ronnie, where do you want the lads to come? Meaning Dad and me and Luke, who was sitting there. Where do you want them tomorrow? Meaning on the Friday. And Ronnie had looked and said, well, you'll come down on the field, won't you? And I've looked at Ronnie and I thought to myself, and so this would have been 2011, so the last year on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And I've looked at him and I was, what would I have been, 21 at the time, and I thought, you want us to come down with the fireworks on the bomb? And obviously we'd been fusing.
Yeah.
So we'd known, we'd learned about the fireworks, and I sort of thought, no, you've got to be joking. And I remember going down there, and that was my first experience of the firework crew doing fireworks. The most amazing adrenaline rush I'd ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And obviously the year after, coming off of the battlefield, I sat there and thought, we've had 1 year doing a firework display on that battlefield.
Right.
But little did I know that having the fireworks in the car park behind Battle Abbey, it was just amazing. A wall surrounding a car park, so intense in there, being in there when it's going off.
Yeah.
But I do remember that meeting. I remember coming out of that meeting almost feeling like Battle Bonfire was cancelled.
Yeah.
I remember coming out thinking, almost heartbroken that we wasn't going to have a massive fire. But in hindsight, I remember having that bonfire on the Abbey Green that year, and the debrief meeting after, and everyone going, do you know what? That was actually not too bad. A lot of the older members were
I
saying,
remember going home going, that was the best bonfire for ages.
yeah, I remember them saying it. I remember it may have even been you that said it, Matt.
Yeah.
Said that
Best
was
bonfire
probably the
for
best
years.
bonfire we've had
Yeah.
since it was last on the Abbey. Whereas me, and I did sit there and think, it was good. But of course, as you asked me, I'm still a Battlefield fan.
Yeah, see, I'm like green, green
I know,
through and through.
That's why I know it's a contentious issue between the members.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I just think bonfire happens on the green. The field was just a place to have a bonfire, and you can have a slightly bigger bonfire, and you can have a big firework display. That's often a lot of people's arguments. It's like, well, hang on, it's bonfire night, not firework night.
Yeah.
And that's another misconception, that everyone seems to think that the night is about fireworks, and equally that all the members, they're like, oh, you must be a pyromaniac.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, some of us are,
some
but
of us-
not everyone.
Some of us don't
It's
like
not- it's
fireworks.
not about
I'm
the
just
fireworks.
not interested in them whatsoever.
It's bonfire night.
Yeah. When you see a display every week,
I don't watch them.
I'm just not interested. Say, how were the fireworks? Colin will say to me the next day, well, what were their fireworks like? I said, I don't know, Colin. I have no idea.
I like watching people watching them. Like, honestly, like, I look around and I see people and I see the wonder in their faces of watching fireworks, and I think I wish I felt that. But at the same time, I do like seeing that other people are like, that's so
I like the ones where they get intense. Lost on me. I think that's why I like the effigy so much.
Yeah.
Because it's...
Yeah, I don't think anything can beat that.
You said it once. You described it perfectly. You said it's like an attack on your senses.
Yeah.
It's almost like you sort of stand there like, whoa, what has just happened?
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. And the people are like, how can you put up with that? I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I just want it to carry on and on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. And it's the one thing that, again, we're not the only thing. There's loads, but that's one particular one that really sets us apart from anyone. And in fact, you could throw as much money towards a big budget firework display, but you could halve that, do it on the green, and the green's going to be so much better.
Yes,
yeah. And it is an explosion on the senses. You know, there's the bangs, there's the whistles, there's the bright light, and
I like as well when I see you firework crew all hugging at the end, you know, because I sit there and being part of the firework crew, I appreciate it's a lot of work
and pressure,
a lot of work, a lot of pressure. You know, all that's got to go off completely, you know, sort of without error, basically.
Yeah.
Well, it never goes completely to plan, but as long as no one knows that, it's fine.
Yeah. And it's all the work that goes into it, and you want it just to go off smoothly.
Yeah.
And when you do something that you look around and everyone's like, wow.
Yeah.
And you're like,
After that effigy brings the greatest job in Battle Bonfire. Sweeping that road.
Yeah.
People would look and think, how can you find that so enjoyable?
Well, it's so much so that we have to run a ballot system for the people. There's so many people that want to do it, is that we run a ballot system throughout the year.
Chris, it's just not enough.
It's like a lottery.
Chris
it's not enough brooms.
He says to me every year, every sort of time we're talking about Bonfire, he says, got to get ready for that sweeping. I think, I can't believe I've only done it once.
I know. It was an honour to have you there with me. I was, you know.
But there are those little bits of, like one of the bits I love about Bonfire is just walking up the high street and the road's closed and that atmosphere within town. There's some of these little bits that are very easy to underestimate. You know, everyone thinks it's going to be like the big finale on the fireworks or the effigy, but it's sometimes the end of the night. You know, you might have had a couple of beers in the club afterwards. It's about midnight, and you stand around the fire and you look at that fire, and you know it's burnt down.
Yeah,
you're like, no, we did it for another year.
Yeah, that is, as I said in the last meeting, my only thing that I would love to be able to have more of is the post bonfire, so the immediately after. And I'm someone, I know we do the road signs, but when I compare what we do on bonfire day compared to yourself, compared to the firework crew, the fire crew, everybody, I sort of think, well, me, Luke and Chris and whoever is helping us with the road signs, although it's stressful, big, you know, it is,
and it's an important job.
An important job, but at the same time, I sort of think, we're only putting road signs out. Admittedly, it takes long enough because we don't. Really, what we should do: fire the maroon at 6, go and get something to eat, immediately go and put the road signs out. But we don't, because I must admit I do want to spend. I want to be there for the kids' procession at 10 a.m.
I mean, that's such a
it's just brilliant,
important part. And it was funny enough. The first time I ever saw it was 2012. Yeah, because I'd always been down on the battlefield. Generally, so I'd missed it, and then having kids now myself, like to be able to see that part and keep that going, that's such an important part.
I love hearing those church bells.
Yeah,
I don't know, because for me it's just nostalgia. I think it's just all the time. I just sit there and I think it's another massive moment of bonfire is the church bells ringing.
Yeah,
for the arrival of the world's oldest guy. And the children's procession.
Church bells are a traditional thing throughout the bonfire period.
I just think it's amazing.
Well, church bells are rang in celebration.
Yeah. I'd almost, if they said, if you come to the meeting and said, the bell ringers want to ring the bells for when the procession first gets to the
It's not a bad idea
church,
if we could set that up.
I would sit there and I think, Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, please.
That'd be really
That
cool.
would be a
I would
brilliant.
think
I think
that
church
is
bells should be
amazing.
involved.
Yeah.
I wish that the bonfire was completely done and dusted by like 9 p.m. so that once it's done, the crowd are going home, and it's just the bonfire society. All of us are just there round the. I say the crowd go home. I know they can't come onto the Abbey Green, but then we got a period of time to enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas it's sort of, I always sort of think I'm trying to enjoy it, but at the same time, the time is going so fast that I'm wary that I really need to go home, walk home, go to bed, and then somehow get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, you
somehow
say the time there, you look at some of the old programmes and what happened throughout the day, and midnight was fun around the fire.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what it was. And I still try and, I
would
always
love-
go back to the green before going home.
Yeah.
Yeah, wherever I am, I will go to the green and finish my night there. Maybe a couple of bangers on the green,
Maybe a
around
barrel.
midnight. Yeah.
Maybe a barrel in the air. Or not.
And then wander home. Because I
Allegedly.
think there is that little part of, we've started at 6, it goes all the way through till midnight.
Yeah.
There's a limited amount of hours. Let's cram as much in
Yeah,
as we can.
I'd love to say that you'll see me there at midnight this year, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, pretty much guarantee you won't be there.
Are you there?
You always go home. I think
do,
I
don't
hang about quite late because
I
I'm.
let the side down.
Yeah,
My
no,
brother
I
stayed,
will be there.
and I'm getting in bed, and all I'm hearing is boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, and I'm thinking, why am I in bed?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at
I'm
Louise, and
usually there
she's like,
quite
"You're not
late.
going back down there," and I'm like, "No, fair enough."
But I think there's that emotional tiredness as well, because I find bonfire day is a real mix of emotions.
Yeah.
Like that 6 a.m, I've got excitement, and then as the day goes on, there's excitement, then there's enjoyment of the sort of kids' procession, and then you get into the afternoon and you realise, damn, it's the afternoon now, and then the stress starts to
Anxiety.
creep in.
Yeah.
Then there's that worry and anxiety that hits, and then there's just the major nerves around about 6 o'clock. Once the
Yeah,
road,
you're right,
I find that's a really weird period because everything's done, and there's sort of nothing you can do, but it's not quite ready to start
the
yet. And I'm
atmosphere
like,
changes.
what do I do with myself?
Yeah.
And I am a
Yeah.
bit of a like twitchy wreck.
Yeah, we come to the club,
Yep.
the Bonfire Boy headquarters. Shout out to
yep.
Battle Club, and we have a pint. We sit down. We go to the marshal meeting and we sit there and sort of try and gather it all in. But at the same time, it's sort of like we're nearly there. We need to get this started. But I always, as well, I find that once that procession has started, that is it.
It's them rolling.
That is it.
It's like pushing a ball down a
I
hill.
envisage it.
Well,
like
once it's started,
literally
You can't
a
stop.
juggernaut
on.
coming
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
road.
It's happening now.
People need to get
You
out
just
of the
got to
way.
hope everything goes in the order that you've planned it, and nothing happens. when
I
comes
think
up.
it generally does.
I think most of the time it seems to go
It-
quite well.
It does. It does.
I'd say
Every
last year I
year
thought it was the best one.
There's small little changes every
Yeah.
year
I
where
think
you
that
tweak something. But
there's 15
the
minutes earlier
format
this year, isn't it?
is the same. Yeah, 7:30 start this
I
year.
think
rather than
that's a nice
7:45.
15-minute change. We'll
Next
make
year
it.
we'll go 15 minutes earlier.
We'll go for 7:15 next
No,
year.
I think 7:15 is too early. I think
It does
7:30.
it does sound a bit early.
Yeah, it does
Yeah, it
sound
does
like it's
sound early, yeah.
we're not a children's event. Like
Yeah.
7:30 is a bit more of an adult
just
start.
know as well.
But 7:45 and
It's going to catch some people out.
yeah, I think the reason was because of a bus route.
When we carry the bees down obviously onto the green, and we have to take them down to the field to extinguish them. And I've said before, haven't I? I said, please do not light that fire until we're back up. And I'm saying to Luke and Chris, and they're like, oh, we're down here now. Can we just have a quick wee? I'm like, come on, let's get back up there.
Yeah.
Because they could actually be waiting for us.
It's
So,
unlikely,
so it's
but
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
let's rush
I
back
mean,
up
I'd like
there.
to say we were, but it never ever crossed my mind that you
So,
weren't
and
there.
I'm
We
sitting
never
there
look around and go,
like,
oh, hang on.
I'm looking
I'm
at
just
Luke
like,
and
we're
I'm
all here,
thinking,
let's go.
I'm thinking Matt did say that he's going to hold it up for us, but come on, just
Yeah.
in case.
But all bets are off once that
But if somebody
snowball's
starts
rolling.
to chant as well, then your tide's by
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Fondest bonfire memory for you, Matt?
I mean, there's a couple.
Of course.
So I think, a memory or, I suppose a memory was when we got back on the green in 2012. Although it happened by accident, I do think that was a great moment, because we'd gone from hardly anyone being allowed on the green to the procession going round to the bonfire back on the green. And if you had told anyone in 96 when we were on the recreation ground, or 97 when we moved to the battlefield, oh yeah, no, you know,
I was on the rec as well.
Yeah, I did 1 year on the recreation ground. So 95 was the last year on the green.
Right, crikey.
And you know, if you'd said, you know, 18 or whatever it was years later, you'll get back there, I don't think anyone would have believed it, because at that point there was some real pressure on the society just to even have an event. You know, the police were very much
happy with what you've
anti-bonfire. You know, the local police force were nicknamed, you know, the Senlac Stormtroopers, because that was the way that they policed bonfire, you know, and certainly battle, you know, other out meetings as well. So that was a really big memory. But I think on a personal level, it has got to be that, I mentioned earlier I love Staple Cross because it's always sort of the one before, and you'd have that excitement. And I think it was the first time I took Serena when she was old enough to sort of walk and remember. You know, I remember carrying her in a thing, but I think she slept through the majority of it. But yeah, she was a few years old, and I remember standing with her. And at this point, I used to go to bonfire, have a few beers, light a few bangers, and I was stood there, having not been drinking, didn't have any fireworks on me, and I looked at her face, looking at all these fires, and I think the dragon went past that they had, and she was just like, "Wow!" And I thought, yeah. This is you know, I'm helping keeping it going.
Yeah, real moment
for people like you to see her enjoy a passion
making
of
a
mine.
memory. Yeah.
And it's always tricky because, you know, I want the kids to love it and grow up with it, but if they don't like it, they don't like it. You can't force people, you know. But actually, you could see she was loving
that moment. She was in awe. Of it,
and it was a really nice experience to experience bonfire in a slightly different light. You know,
from a third person perspective.
Certainly seeing your kids enjoy something that you're so passionate about. And even Bonfire Day, you know, they do the children's procession, and
they love it.
They love it. They love a photo in front of the fire and seeing the effigy. And Serena came paper macheing last year.
Yeah,
and,
she did, didn't
you know,
she?
so yeah, all of
get
that.
Get them involved.
Yeah, get them involved.
Which does segue into nicely the next question for you, Matt, that I've got here is what legacy do you hope to leave as chairman?
I think that the society's in a stronger position when I stepped down than when I took over. Although it was, and that sounds a bit like the sort of thing a politician would say, but actually it was in a good position anyway. But I just want to make sure it's either at that or above. I don't want to hand it over to someone and them thinking, oh God, what have I got to do here? Whether it's part of the event or bringing the membership together or whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to keep it.
I like the way now. I do feel there's so many sort of people now that, you know, that if you did step down, that is in place as we speak.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But obviously don't step down. But
Bonfire's bigger than any one person.
But certainly not before Battle Bonfire.
Yeah.
But Bonfire is bigger than any one person. The event's been going 400 odd years. It's going to be going for another. If you think you're so important that it wouldn't run without you, you're mistaken.
You're in
Bonfire
the
will just swallow you up, spit you out. We've got to get on.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
But you've got to get into that mindset of, fair point. I'm not bigger than Bonfire. No. I never will be.
No.
I'm just here to help it carry on to the next year.
But you do have the power to like leave it better than you found it, which is like what you're saying to.
I think
leave it in a stronger position.
Really big things for Bonfire, which I think would help secure. I mean, money's always going to play the biggest part, and you know, we're not in a bad position at the moment, but we can always always improve. But having, you know, some owned facilities, we're very good that actually we've got a lot of our own equipment. The thing we haven't got is any of our own sort of land or buildings. Everything's rented or borrowed
and dotted around.
So, you know, that would be the next one to actually, you know,
that would be amazing to achieve
yard
that.
And, get
like a yard where we could all go.
Yeah.
Because also that would help with that, you know, less clicky feel of, you know, at the moment stuff is done at people's houses because they've got the space to do it. And that's the best way it works.
Always has been.
It always has, and it works. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you had one big area where so much can happen, it takes the pressure off people feeling like they've got to have it at theirs, or just.
But that can still continue as well. But it just means we have another area that people can. Yeah. You might not want 60 people around your house, but there might be 60 people that want to do that one thing, and then you're like, well, I don't want to say you can't do it, but also you can't because it's in my garden. Like,
yeah. Well, so obviously, Andy, we do a lot up at yours.
Yeah,
and that's part
it's
of
funny.
It,
it's funny,
and I'm not saying I don't want to do stuff at yours, and you always like.
Well, I've grown up having so many people at the nursery, so I love it. I can't get enough of it. But at the same time, sometimes it isn't practical. Sometimes you sort of think, if we had a place where we could all go that was purposely for this.
But again, you want Bonfire to be bigger than any one person.
Yeah. And
you don't want it.
Well, I don't
felt like, oh well.
It's all hinging on whether
we're allowed. Whether we can do. If Bonfire had their own,
I would absolutely hate to think that people think, oh, you don't want to upset them because they're storing this, because that's not the case at all.
No,
it's just the fact that it's stored there.
So we can upset you.
Yeah, you can do what you like. Just have to take your barriers away.
But that's it, isn't it? You want that security of Bonfire stands on its own 2 feet.
Yeah,
and you always need people to do jobs.
In essence, I think it does.
I think it does very well.
I think it does more so now than ever before.
Yeah.
But you would know sort of obviously more than me, because, as I say, I've only really gone to meetings from 2005 onwards. I just think from 2005 to now, it's so much bigger, so much better. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, you don't have the fireworks dropping around your feet when you're walking. I do miss that. But at the same time, I do realise that that's quite iffy sometimes.
Yeah.
I do realise there is certain dangers. There's this and that, but you almost do have that air of invincibility that you just think, well, it'd be all right. It's not going to happen, and thankfully, it doesn't happen often.
No.
We do some quick fire questions, Matt, with every guest. Favourite away bonfire?
Staple Cross. For that reason of, one, it actually was the first ever bonfire I went to, out meeting I went to.
Was it?
Yeah, Staple Cross was the first one I went to. But secondly, because, and I suppose that enjoyment of seeing Serena enjoy that one, but then also that it quite often is the week before us, and you've got that big build up. So, and it's so local.
I do like Staple Cross.
Your favourite costume, either yours or another society's?
Yeah, I would have to go Cliff Vikings.
Yeah,
without a doubt. They're just impressive. People put some real effort into. I've made a bit of effort with my Saxon, but it's still not at that level.
No, but it can't be. The Saxons were poor, weren't they?
Yeah.
Bonfire or fireworks?
Oh, bonfire.
Easy one. What's your pre-bonfire routine? We touched on yours.
Normally stress.
Yeah, the stress and anxiety.
Stress, anxiety.
But not for battle, for away meetings. And
I think it varies bonfire to bonfire depending on what
if the kids
event it is. Yeah, if the kids are coming, it's very often stress of trying to find their shoes. If it's a non-bonfire one, it might be round to someone's for pre-drinks and
what about
getting
a
ready.
Robertsbridge bonfire? A final one.
Yeah, I think if you catch the train, if you can do a little bit of like a couple of pre-drinks and
it's absolutely.
Yeah, I always joke that the time it takes to walk from the train station to the club at the beginning of the night is much shorter than walking back. The difference is staggering.
You're going,
I love it. I cannot wait already.
Favourite effigy?
Saddam Hussein, 1990 battle.
Nice.
Yeah, did he have the petrol?
Yeah, it was a petrol tanker, and it said Hussein. And he had the petrol pump coming out, and it was a Max Blackman.
Yeah,
probably one of his best, and he was brilliant at it.
They were fantastic.
But it was massive. It was massive. It was so topical. It ticked. I like Head and Shoulders as effigies because they're very blocky, and I just feel they work on the green. So that's probably. Yeah, probably my favourite.
It was phenomenal.
The second favourite, though, I've got to say, I liked the Theresa May.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I just like the concept of Boris lighting that, and it was gunpowder treason and plot.
Yeah,
just
good
like
tagline.
That all worked as a concept.
And the hat coming back down on top.
And I mean, obviously, I planned that.
Yeah,
the way I spent hours adjusting that bang so that.
That's when I learned what you can do with fireworks, and I thought, it's not. I could never be part of the firework crew. I haven't got that much finesse. Your favourite banner?
I do think actually the traditional battle skull and crossbones one, because it only really comes out at battle. We take the convict. I think that artwork wise, the convict one's incredible. Little spoiler alert: have a real close look at the convict, and you can see he's maybe stuffed a sock.
Oh, really? You think Guy was a stuffer?
Yeah, the guy's well endowed, and once you notice it, you'll never unnotice it. But that banner's brilliant. But I think the traditional skull and crossbones, Battle Bonfire Boys. Yeah,
there's two of them though, isn't there?
Yeah, there's the one that we've got the enamel badge shield shaped one, isn't it? And then there's the other one which is more one which square.
is slightly different. And
which one out of those two?
The traditional one with the skull and crossbones, not with the torches. One's got torches.
Oh yeah, one has got torches. Yeah. Or do you mean the round green one?
No, I can't stand that one.
Oh, I like the round green one.
Yeah, I know you do.
The lollipop.
Yeah, I like that. Best fundraiser to be a part of?
10K. I think it's just because it's short.
Yes.
I know, but really fun throughout the time.
Yeah.
Whereas the other events are longer. But this is really intense. There's 500 runners getting ready. There's a maroon. There's a good atmosphere. And again, it's on the green. There's something about battle
being on that.
And that,
on the Abbey Green.
On the Abbey Green.
Yeah.
It just brings the community together.
And it makes a good amount of money.
And it does, yeah.
What role would you want to try within the society that you haven't already?
Sitting at the back of the room.
Yeah.
Talking while the chairman's trying to talk.
Yeah.
And being disruptive.
Fair play, yeah.
Yeah, so one of your roles.
We've got a spot for you. When Andy goes up for Vice.
It earns you a podcast.
Yeah. We've already covered how the society's changed. Abbey Green or Battlefield? I think we know.
Abbey Green.
We know that one. Member of the Year?
See, I'm going to go Nolan.
Yep.
Yeah, health and safety. For reasons. One, obviously, last year he did step up at the last minute to take on health and safety. But equally this year as well, he's just taken it on fully, as in rewritten all the documents, gone through everything.
Yeah.
At the SAG meetings, he can run that.
Yeah.
On the night, he just runs all of that.
He's fallen into that role and just taken it on.
Brilliant.
Almost like he was designed for it.
Yeah.
When last meeting, when he was talking about the things he's changed, his liaising with Right Guard and everything else, I just thought
I love it when you have a health and safety officer who, and to be fair, most of them have. But I remember, I think it was Dave Hode who first said it to me on Bonfire night. I was like, what about this? What about it? And he was like, no, you're the chairman. You chair meetings tonight. You can switch off a bit.
Yeah.
I've got this. And Chris did it last year. There was an issue in the control room. I said, do you want me to cut it? He's like, no, that's all right. I got it.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, yeah, you have.
It's your job.
It's your job.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's doing. So for being able to just take that on.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I think him and Tucker work well together.
They do.
They do work well together. I remember it come down the radio that there had been a slight issue with the front of the procession. And it was sort of, can you come down here? And, I turned to Luke and Chris, and they had radios as well. And it's that instant, sometimes I say, you follow certain people. And Chris is one of them people that, you want to help him.
Yeah.
Because he's there for you. Yeah. And you sort of think, yeah, we're come. And we was there. I can't remember what it was. There wasn't much of an issue, but it was all sorted. And but I do think having him and Tucker, because they're great friends.
Yeah,
I think they work really well together. You see them sort of on the night together as well. I think
you do need people to work as a team on that night. And I think actually that's one thing the society does very well. Actually, you might have throughout the year. And again, clicks is maybe a slightly unfair thing, but different people just get involved in different areas.
People have their things they
like doing. But actually on the night, it just blends in.
Yeah.
And everyone is there for sort of one reason. And whatever you've done throughout the year, or nothing,
Yeah.
We're still there just to put on the
It
night.
doesn't matter whether you've
matter.
been at every event or if you've been at no event.
No,
you're here.
It doesn't matter whether you've been a member
that's
1
the way I
year or
look at it
50
now.
years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Absolutely,
We're all
way I
the
look at
same
it.
on the green.
On
Yeah.
the night, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're here, you know, you're a member.
You're part of it.
You're part of it.
Because you can't. There's no point getting frustrated or annoyed that they haven't done much this year yet. Here, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I just do bonfire for myself.
Everyone's got their own things going on.
Everyone's got their own thing. What's it going to do? Worrying about it or stressing about it or getting annoyed about it? Just enjoy your night.
And some people might really want to, but they don't know how to, to approach it.
So all we can do is try and be as approachable as possible.
Yeah.
If you want to be involved, get involved. But that it does work both ways. So we try and be as approachable as possible. But also people do need to
to have that confidence to be able to say
everyone is busy.
Yeah.
Everyone's tied up. It's not the case of you haven't been invited.
We're not going to
come and
shepherd
do
you
this.
into it. Yeah.
We just haven't thought about it because you've got 100 other million things. If you want to be involved, can I get involved in that?
Yeah.
Where do I need to go? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come along.
Because you don't want to jump on a new member and be like, right, you haven't done anything yet this year. Come and help with a 10K. It's horrible, isn't it? You can't run it like that.
Well, we had a few new people come and help do some paper macheing at the effigy last year. And it wasn't a case of, I went, could you come along to the, someone else might say, well, I never got invited to come paper mashing. No, just say, if you want to come paper macheing, just say, can I come? Where do I need to come?
We don't hand out personal invites to the entire membership every time something gets done.
I'll try and say, if anyone wants to get involved, or we could do with some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking individuals.
No, and you've got to come to meetings. You've got to read the minutes. You know, it's one
and
of
if you
those things,
paper mache, you get a sneak peek of
the
the effigy.
You just know what it is, don't you?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
What is it, Matt?
Secret.
A big
At the moment,
secret.
it's a load of 4x2, 2x2, and roofing batten.
That's the effigy update. It's still not made.
That's the current status.
And we'll be, 6 weeks in by then?
Yeah, I was thinking we're a week behind, but then I realised actually we're sort of a week on, so we're probably about right. And we're in the dry this year, so
Yeah.
And
It'll
it will be
fine.
dry on the day.
Yeah.
Which
if all good.
helps
Yeah.
massively.
Massively helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 8th will be dry. I've had it on good authority. So.
There we go. We're
What
organised.
can I say?
Well, on that note, I think we should call it a night.
Good work.
Competition's still open for Fondest Bonfire Memory. Send in your ideas or memories to Bonfire Facebook page. Win a badge and some other stuff.